The modern bathroom is a surprisingly brutal environment. It's an active space defined by rapid temperature swings, thick, lingering humidity, and hard, slippery surfaces. Hanging a massive, heavy sheet of fragile glass in the middle of this hazard-prone room introduces a genuine physical risk. One slip, and you're dealing with dangerous, shattered shards covering a wet floor. That's why many builders turn to the materials you see here, acrylic mirror sheets. These shatterproof alternatives can visually open up a cramped space without bringing the hazard of broken glass into the mix. The engineering metrics are impressive. Acrylic weighs less than half of what standard glass does, and it boasts an impact resistance 17 times higher. But there is a catch. Acrylic is a thermoplastic. That means its physical structure is significantly softer, and unlike a rigid pane of glass, it naturally flexes and bends. So, while swapping glass for acrylic entirely eliminates the physical danger of shattering, that exact flexibility introduces a new set of environmental vulnerabilities. To make it work in a bathroom, you have to actively engineer around those weaknesses. Chemically, acrylic seems perfect for wet spaces. It is entirely rust-proof and highly resistant to surface moisture. Yet the material behaves somewhat like a sponge. Over time, it absorbs microscopic trace amounts of the ambient humidity floating around your shower. As it takes on water vapor, the material physically expands. Because the sheet is naturally flexible, this expansion forces the mirror to warp outward. You defend against this by building internal rigidity into the sheet itself. That means specifying and purchasing a significantly thicker gauge of acrylic right from the start. An acrylic mirror will easily survive decades of daily steam exposure, but that survival is dictated by the exact thickness you choose long before you ever mount it. Once you have the right thickness, you face the next hurdle, the wall itself. Acrylic is essentially a flexible, reflective skin, meaning the structural integrity of the drywall behind it entirely dictates the quality of your reflection. Minor drywall dips force the flexible acrylic to cave, scattering reflected light rays at incorrect angles and creating a distorted funhouse mirror effect. Adding a perfectly smooth, rigid backing, like sealed plywood, forces the acrylic perfectly planar, instantly returning those rays to clean, parallel lines. But even with a perfectly flat wall, you still have to physically attach the mirror, which brings us to the chemistry of the adhesive. Standard construction glues carry a hidden threat. They contain harsh solvents, specifically chemicals like toluene or ketones. If you use them, those chemicals will literally eat through the mirror's protective silver back coating from the inside out. To avoid destroying the mirror, you are strictly required to use a solvent-free, high-tack hybrid polymer adhesive. This bonds the mirror securely to the wall without attacking the delicate backing. A flawless reflection never happens by accident. It is the direct result of strict adherence to these precise physical and chemical installation rules. You've survived the moisture and engineered a perfectly flat installation. Now, the final, most persistent threat to the mirror's lifespan is your daily cleaning routine. Standard glass cleaners, dry paper towels, and harsh sanitizing wipes are intensely abrasive to soft thermoplastics. In this macro view, watch how a single dry paper fiber drags heavily across the glossy finish, carving a deep, visible scratch. One scratch is invisible, but the accumulation of thousands of microscopic cuts over months and years will permanently dull the finish, reducing a crystal-clear reflection into an irreversible, hazy blur. The mandatory preservation protocol is strict but simple. Use only ultra-soft microfiber cloths, paired with specialized plastic cleaners or isopropyl alcohol. The goal is to lift the dirt away rather than dragging it across the surface. Long-term preservation means you can no longer treat this like a standard piece of household glass. You have to handle it like a delicate optical lens. This brings us back to the core dilemma. We are placing a sensitive, flexible material into a harsh, wet, and highly trafficked room. Despite the strict demands of installation and care, the benefits heavily outweigh the drawbacks. You gain the ability to safely clad entire walls in reflective surfaces, cutting the weight in half and eliminating the risk of shattered glass. These high-performance architectural materials demand a specific level of respect. Unlike a standard maintenance-free panel, their longevity is tied directly to how they are handled. Engineered over a perfectly flat substrate, mounted with safe chemistry, and cleaned intentionally, acrylic provides a premium, flawless, and entirely safe reflection for the modern bathroom.